southern accent in a public forum because it's socially inappropriate, especially if you're not from the South. So I won't do it. Our theme for 2024 is Grand Rising. The theme for July is Practice Makes Imperfect. Yay! Today, for our topic, we are learning about imperfect practices. This is going to be an easy one. Ernest Holmes wrote, "Let us learn to practice faith until all fear disappears." Sufi author A. Helwa offers this insight. So long as we are on earth, there is no finish line that we can reach where we can stop growing. If a bodybuilder stops working out, he begins to lose muscle. When we stop our practices, our faith weakens. Just as there's no magic pill to obtaining the physical body we seek to have, there is no shortcut to becoming spiritually strong. And let us affirm together, I don't practice to be perfect. I practice to grow, embracing imperfections, mistakes, and setbacks as learning opportunities. And we will have Dr. Reverend Kathleen Johnson talk all about imperfection. Right?
There we go. After much hesitation, a woman decided to call her friend to sing happy birthday to her. So she began singing happy birthday, and then she suddenly realized it was the wrong number, and she said to the woman on the other side, she said, "Why didn't you stop me?" And the woman said, "Honey, you need all the practice you can get." Practice, right? Practice. So the theme this month, practice makes imperfect. You know, we've been taught the opposite, right? That practice makes perfect. Yet think about the message that that gives to us and to our younger people. Practice makes perfect. What is the message? That you have to be perfect, which is a huge burden to bear. And so perfectionism, we know, becomes a very stressful way of life. And I can tell you that because that's where I've lived a good portion of my life, is in this place called perfectionism. And so you might be thinking, yeah, but how about when Ernest Holmes teaches perfect God, perfect human, perfect being? What about that? And what about at the end of service when we say, perfect God within me, perfect life within me, which is God, come forth into expression through me? What about that? Well, you know, it's definitely something to ponder. And I remembered when I studied with the Aramaic Institute of Rocco Errico, I studied a whole class with his institute on Aramaic Bible, the Aramaic translation. And for those of you who are new, the Lamsa Bible is a Bible that's been translated from the original Aramaic Peshitta transcripts Bible into English language, and it has thousands of differences in translation because of that, because over the years, the translations have gotten distorted. So the bottom line is that the word that we've translated as perfect actually means, the Aramaic word actually means all-inclusive. And so rather than saying perfect love at the end of that phrase, like Ernest Holmes did, I say, I do all-inclusive love, just to really kind of expand our minds. But think about that the next time you hear the word perfect. The Aramaic origin behind it is all inclusive. All inclusive. So practice makes imperfect. I'm sure that caught your attention. I know it caught my attention. I'm thinking, I wonder where this is going. So there is a recognition in the spiritual teaching and in many spiritual teachings that the essential nature of who we are is pure spirit, that we are temporarily housed in this expression called a human body, and yet that essence is already whole, it's already complete, and we've used the word perfect as well to go with it. So you can think of it as all-inclusive, which is another word for whole. There is a divine design to who we are. And we have within us that's the all-inclusive part. When I think about that, all possibilities are available to us. All possibilities. And so with that awareness, then you might be thinking to yourself, so what is this spiritual journey in this human body all about, truly? If I'm this expansive, unlimited being of pure potentiality and possibility, if I'm pure spirit, if I am God, if I'm God having a Kathleen experience and you're God having whatever your experience is, then what's this all about? And there are many theories on this, and one of them that has been presented over time is that we decided at some point to have this limited, finite experience to practice our creativity, to just see what it was like, to explore with it, and then at some point to break free of it and evolve back into who we are in truth. So it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. So the first part of our journey then would be about creating the illusion, investing a whole lot of power in false beliefs and limiting beliefs, creating the illusion that we're the opposite of who we are in truth. Think about that. Think about the amount of power that it takes to create the idea that we're the opposite of who we are in truth. Wow. And then there's that other part of the journey, which I am assuming that's why we're all here, is the rediscovery of who we are in truth while still in these human bodies. It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. So when we come to this idea of perfection, I like to think it more of this all-inclusive journey, this journey where we're discovering what it means to be limited. That's, it's kind of an all-inclusive there. There are all kinds of things to explore. And also this idea that in essence we've already arrived. We already are that wholeness, that completeness in essence. It's beautiful. And then there's this thing called reclaiming power, which is what we've been doing in Busting Loose from the Money Game, which, by the way, is about more than just money. It's about developing mystic consciousness. God, those last two levels of consciousness, God through me and God as me. So it really applies to all areas of our lives. Our spiritual practices support us in unplugging from all of those different false beliefs. And if you can imagine, I don't know if you've ever seen the visual that Carolyn Mace has created with the human energy body, and then all of these cords going out, invested in all of these false beliefs, all of our energy being channeled into these stories and these false beliefs. And so as we do our spiritual practice and reclaim our power, I like to see it as cutting the cords or pulling the cords on all of those different beliefs. And then when we do, when we're no longer investing power in it, what do? They collapse back into the nothingness from which they came. And we stand in a higher frequency of power. Our spiritual practices are amazing for that. And when you think about it, again, our spiritual practices can seem imperfect to us, especially for new people. I find these are some of the things that I hear, because we have 3 pillars of science of mind that we teach, which is meditation, spiritual mind treatment, and visioning. And sometimes I hear people saying, well, I don't think I'm doing it right. Anybody think that when you first started doing meditation and visioning and spiritual mind treatment? Oh, I might not be doing it right. And the truth is, it's a practice. It's not about doing it right. It's about unfolding our divine nature. So if we let go of the agenda of doing it right and simply practice, then we get out of that whole thing about, oh my gosh, I might not be doing it right. And we instead allow the divine within us to guide us through the process of learning. Practicing spiritual mind treatment, I hear people say things like, my words aren't as flowery as I'd like them to be, or my meditation, my mind is all over the place. You know, there was a study done actually on people meditating. And this one woman, when she was hooked up to the equipment and stuff, when she was finished, she went up to the man and she said, you know what, my mind was like all over the place. I'm sure it was not a very good reading. And he said, no, actually, you went pretty deep. And why? Because she was observing. She was moving into observer role, watching her mind go all over the place. And so it was actually beneficial. That was a real eye-opener for me when I heard that years ago. Visioning. Sometimes people will say, but I don't see pictures. And I'm reminded of Jean Houston, considered one of the great visionaries of our time, saying, I don't see pictures. I have thoughts. Some people feel things, or some people hear. You know, if you're audio, what do they call it? Clairaudient. You might hear the vision. But visioning actually is about just catching a higher idea of who we are in truth. So again, getting out of I have to do it perfectly into saying, you know what? It's a process. It's about making progress in consciousness and letting go of the agenda. It's letting go of the outcome. So the illusion of imperfect practices is disabled when we realize it's all about the unfoldment of our authentic, unlimited, divine self. And understanding that those things that look like they're imperfect are the contrast, that are the catalysts for our evolutionary process. Think about the discomfort that comes from something that seems imperfect in our world or in ourselves. What do we do with that discomfort? Well, if we understand what practice is all about and the evolution of consciousness, that discomfort is a gift. It's a gift. It's something that we can use to continue to evolve. And so I'd like us to take a moment now and practice that. Let's turn within. This particular practice is in Busting Loose from the Money Game. And I've been using it since last fall when I first took the class. I'm taking it again, deepening into it. And I have found that it has lightened my sense of any burden. It has opened my heart more fully. It has made things clearer for me, and it's just been a very freeing experience. I've had people tell me that I seem lighter, I seem happier. And one of them was actually my husband, which is a good thing. And my board president. Right, Monica? So, so I'm going to invite you to just practice this. And since it'll be recorded on Facebook, you can tune into it again later if you'd like. So let's turn within. And remember, this is not about doing it perfectly. This is not about that at all. So let go of that idea. Let go of attachment of how this might work for you. Let go of that completely. And turn within and breathe. Make sure your feet are well rooted into the ground, and just imagine energy flowing out of your feet and down into the ground, forming deep roots and open at the top, crown chakra, just allowing energy to flow freely. And I'd like you to now notice a discomfort or a dissatisfaction that you might have in your life. Remember, it's a gift. So let's dive into it, because the more we dive into it, the more we feel it, the more power, spiritual power, we get to reclaim. So we're going to embrace that discomfort, that dissatisfaction. Notice it in your body. Where is it located? Where's that tightness? Feel it. For some of you who've been practicing this, who are in the class, you can intensify it if you'd like. And now repeat after me out loud. There is no power or reality in this belief pattern. And what it creates. And breathe. And now let's speak our spiritual truth. I am the infinite power, love, and presence of God, creating everything that I experience. There is no power out there, not in anyone or anything. And next, I reclaim my power from this pattern now. Imagine yourself cutting the cord or unplugging from the belief pattern that created that discomfort. You don't even have to know what the belief is or what the discomfort is. Just imagine in your mind, where is it in your field, energy field, and cut the cord. It might be a couple places, so if you want to cut the cord, I actually like to use my fingers and do it, or pull the plug. And then imagine in your mind that it collapses. It just collapses, disperses like a cloud that is blocking the sun. And then say, I can feel the power returning to me now. Surging through me. Take a moment and see if you can feel it. And if you can't, it's okay. But just claim and know that your word has power. Returning to me, surging through me. You've now stepped into a higher version of who you are in truth. And so repeat after me. Now this is the time for appreciation. I love and appreciate who I am, the creator of my experience. I appreciate how I used discomfort to reclaim spiritual power and grow in love, grow in peace, grow in joy, grow in wisdom. Let's breathe and feel that. Feel the appreciation in your heart for who you are. Beautiful. Okay, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes. around and see all the beautiful beings that have joined you in this practice of stepping into a greater expression of who you are in truth. And so I invite you to join me and the